The Great Auction of Beasts. In a galaxy where commerce thrived on the exotic and dangerous, the intergalactic auction of beasts was an event like no other. This year, it was held in the Grand Xyloth Dome, a colossal structure that shimmered under the light of distant stars. Merchants, nobles, and collectors from countless worlds gathered to witness fierce bidding wars over rare creatures. Among them stood Captain Leo, a retired soldier from Earth, holding tightly to his daughter Tessa's hand as they navigated through the bustling crowd. Tessa was only 8 years old, but her wide eyes sparkled with curiosity. She was captivated by everything around her, the vibrant colors of alien attire, the intoxicating scents from food stalls, and most importantly, the creatures that were paraded before them. Today's main attraction was Dracthyr, a legendary warhorse known for its unmatched ferocity in battle. Captured at great cost, it was displayed in a reinforced cage at the center of the dome. As they approached, Tessa's heart raced with excitement. "Papa, look at that horse," she exclaimed, pointing at Dracthyr. The creature stood nearly 3 times taller than an Earth horse, its obsidian body glistening under bright lights. With glowing red eyes and sharp hooves that sparked against metal flooring, it exuded an aura of raw power. Captain Leo knelt beside his daughter, his expression serious. "Tessa, be careful," he warned gently. "That horse is wild and dangerous." He had seen enough battles in his life to know that beauty could often mask peril. The auctioneer, a squat alien with an imposing presence, took center stage. "Behold! The apex of power. Dracthyr, warhorse of the Zenthari Empire. Starting bid, 1 million galactic credits." His voice boomed through the dome, sending ripples of excitement through the crowd. As bids began to rise rapidly, Leo felt a mix of awe and apprehension. He knew stories of warhorses like Dracthyr, untamable beasts that brought destruction wherever they went. Yet here was his daughter, entranced by its majesty. "Why does it look so angry?" Tessa asked innocently. "It's not angry, it's just wild," Leo replied cautiously. Tessa frowned thoughtfully. "Maybe it's just scared," she suggested with childlike wisdom. As bidding escalated, so did Dracthyr's agitation. The creature slammed its hooves against its cage in frustration, rattling the reinforced bars as if testing their strength. The crowd murmured nervously, even seasoned bidders hesitated as stories of Dracthyr's violent past echoed in their minds. Suddenly, a loud metallic screech pierced through the air. A lock on Dracthyr's cage had failed. With an earth-shattering roar, Dracthyr charged forward as its cage burst open. Panic erupted, nobles and merchants scrambled for safety as chaos enveloped the dome. "Stay back!" Leo shouted protectively as he pulled Tessa behind him. But she didn't retreat. Instead, she stepped forward with wide eyes filled with determination. "Alara! No!" Leo cried out in fear as he saw her approach the rampaging beast. Dracthyr bore down on them with fierce intensity, its glowing eyes locked onto Tessa. The crowd held its breath in anticipation of disaster as she stood her ground before this monstrous creature. "Please," Tessa spoke softly yet firmly, extending her tiny hands toward Dracthyr as if trying to bridge an unthinkable divide between them. "You don't have to be angry." Incredibly, something remarkable happened. The warhorse slowed its charge until it came to a cautious trot just feet away from her. The massive beast loomed over her like a dark storm cloud yet radiated an unexpected calmness as it gazed into her innocent eyes. The dome fell into stunned silence as everyone witnessed this extraordinary moment unfold before them. Dracthyr lowered its massive head until its metallic snout touched the ground at Tessa's feet. Gasps rippled through the crowd. No one could comprehend what they were witnessing. Leo rushed forward to his daughter's side, heart racing with disbelief and fear. "Tessa! How did you do that?" he asked breathlessly. With wide innocent eyes filled with wonderment, Tessa looked up at him while gently stroking Dracthyr's snout. "I just asked him to stop," she said simply. As whispers spread through the crowd about this unbelievable bond forming between a tiny girl and one of the deadliest creatures known across galaxies, Captain Leo felt a mix of pride and confusion swell within him. What had just transpired? How could such a fearsome creature respond so tenderly? Drakther emitted a low resonant hum, a sound unlike any growl or roar it had previously unleashed, and nudged Tessa gently with its snout as if seeking comfort rather than inflicting harm. The auctioneer finally regained some composure but remained visibly shaken by what he had witnessed. "This is unprecedented," he stammered into his microphone. "Drakther has chosen this girl." As Captain Leo stood beside his daughter in awe, he realized that this moment would forever change their lives, and perhaps even reshape perceptions across galaxies about fearsome beasts like Drakther who were often misunderstood. The Xyloth dome remained enveloped in silence as people processed what had occurred. A little girl had reached out across boundaries, bridging not just species but hearts, and forged an unexplainable connection with one of the universe's most feared creatures. The escape of Drakther. As Tessa stood before Drakther, the once feared warhorse now seemed to radiate an unexpected calm. The crowd, still in shock from the moment that had just unfolded, began to murmur amongst themselves. Captain Leo, heart pounding with a mix of pride and concern, knelt beside his daughter, trying to comprehend the bond they had witnessed. "Alara," he whispered, using her nickname affectionately. "We need to get you away from here." But Tessa shook her head, her small hand still resting on Drakther's snout. "No, Papa. He's not going to hurt me," she insisted, her voice steady. The crowd watched in awe as Drakther leaned into Tessa's touch, almost as if seeking solace from the little girl who had dared to approach him. The auctioneer, still recovering from the shock of what had transpired, cleared his throat and attempted to regain control of the situation. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. This is unprecedented." His voice trembled slightly as he spoke. "Drakther has chosen this girl." With those words echoing through the dome, a wave of disbelief washed over the crowd. Many had come to witness the spectacle of bidding on a creature known for its brutality. Few expected to see it bowing before a child. Whispers filled the air as people speculated about what this meant for both Tessa and Drakther. A new understanding. As Captain Leo pulled Tessa closer to him, he felt a strange sense of hope blooming within him. Perhaps this moment could change everything, not just for them but for how people perceived creatures like Drakther. He glanced at his daughter, who seemed completely unfazed by the chaos around her. "Can we keep him?" she asked innocently, looking up at her father with wide eyes filled with wonder. Leo chuckled softly despite himself. "I don't think it works that way, sweetheart. He's a warhorse, he belongs to whoever wins him at the auction. But he doesn't want to hurt anyone," Tessa exclaimed passionately. "He just needs someone to understand him." Before Leo could respond, Drakther let out a low rumble, a sound that resonated through the dome like distant thunder. The warhorse shifted its weight and turned its massive head toward Tessa again, its glowing red eyes softening as they locked onto hers. In that moment, something shifted in the crowd. People began to see Drakther not just as a weapon or a beast but as a creature capable of feeling and connection. The murmurs grew louder as more spectators began to express their thoughts. "Perhaps we've misunderstood these creatures," one merchant remarked thoughtfully. "Maybe they're not just tools of war," another added, nodding towards Tessa and Drakther. The chaos unfolds. But amidst this newfound understanding, chaos was still brewing outside the dome. News of Drakther's escape spread quickly across the galaxy, drawing attention from various factions interested in capturing or exploiting the legendary beast for their own purposes. In a dark corner of the galaxy, a group known as the Syndicate watched with keen interest. They were notorious for their ruthless tactics and had long sought after Drakther for their own nefarious plans. Their leader, a cunning alien named Varek, smiled wickedly as he observed the unfolding events via holographic projection. "Let them think they have tamed it," Varek sneered to his followers. We will strike when they least expect it. Back at the auction site, security personnel were scrambling to contain the situation. Guards armed with energy weapons surrounded Drakther and Tessa but hesitated at the sight of the gentle interaction between them. "Stand down," Leo commanded firmly, stepping forward with determination. "You'll only scare him." The guards exchanged glances but ultimately lowered their weapons at Leo's insistence. They were trained soldiers but found themselves caught between duty and compassion as they witnessed this extraordinary bond unfold before them. A moment of connection. Tessa took a deep breath and stepped closer to Drakther, who remained still and calm under her touch. "You're not alone anymore," she whispered softly, her voice barely above a whisper yet filled with conviction. Drakther responded by nuzzling against her hand gently, eliciting gasps from those watching. It was as if he understood her words, understood that she was offering friendship rather than fear. The crowd began to cheer softly. They were witnessing something profound, a connection that transcended species and shattered preconceived notions about power and dominance. As Tessa continued to stroke Drakther's snout with tenderness, Leo felt tears prick at his eyes. He realized that this was not just about saving a creature, it was about redefining what it meant to be powerful in their universe. A new challenge emerges. Just when it seemed like peace might prevail within the dome, an alarm blared loudly overhead, an ominous warning signaling that something was amiss outside. Panic surged once more through the crowd as officials scrambled to assess the situation. "Everyone stay calm," shouted one of the auction staff members over the din of confusion. "We need to evacuate immediately." Leo's heart raced as he looked down at Tessa, who remained steadfast beside Drakther. "We can't leave him," she said firmly. "We won't leave him," Leo assured her without hesitation. "But we need a plan." As chaos erupted around them and people rushed toward exits in fear of what awaited outside, Leo knew they had little time left before danger descended upon them all, danger that sought not only Drakther but also anyone who dared stand in its way. A decision made. In that moment of uncertainty amidst chaos, Leo made a decision that would change everything. They would protect Drakther together, father and daughter united against whatever threats lay ahead. "Listen up," he shouted above the noise, gathering those around him who remained calm enough to hear his words. "We need volunteers. Anyone willing to help us protect this horse?" Several brave souls stepped forward, merchants who had witnessed Tessa's bond with Drakther and felt compelled to act against injustice rather than profit from it. With newfound allies by their side, and an unbreakable bond between father and daughter, they prepared themselves for whatever challenges awaited them beyond those doors while holding on to hope that perhaps this warhorse could lead them toward understanding rather than destruction. As they moved together toward an uncertain future filled with danger yet illuminated by possibility, a future where compassion reigned supreme, Tessa felt stronger than ever before. She knew she could make a difference not only for herself but also for all beings who longed for connection across galaxies far apart from each other yet united through shared experiences of love and understanding. A connection beyond words. As the crowd slowly regained their composure, the atmosphere in the Xyloth Dome shifted dramatically. No longer was it a place of fear and chaos, it had transformed into a scene of wonder and curiosity. Tessa stood confidently beside Drakther, her small hand resting gently on the warhorse's metallic snout, while Captain Leo watched with a mix of pride and concern. The once feared beast now seemed to radiate an aura of calm, its glowing red eyes softening as they met Tessa's gaze. The power of innocence. In that moment, Tessa embodied the essence of innocence and bravery. She had reached out to Drakther not with weapons or commands, but with compassion and understanding. The crowd marveled at this unexpected turn of events, whispering among themselves about the bond forming between the little girl and the legendary warhorse. "Look at her," one merchant said in awe. "She's not afraid. Maybe she understands him in a way we never could," another added thoughtfully. Captain Leo felt a surge of hope as he listened to their comments. Perhaps this was a turning point, not just for Tessa and Drakther, but for how beings across galaxies viewed each other. Instead of seeing creatures like Drakther as mere tools for war, they could be recognized for their capacity to feel and connect. A new kind of friendship. As Tessa continued to stroke Drakther's snout, she began to speak softly to him. "You don't have to be alone anymore," she whispered. "I'm here for you." Her voice was gentle and sincere, carrying a warmth that seemed to resonate with the warhorse. Drakther responded by nuzzling closer to her, letting out a low hum that echoed through the dome. It was a sound that spoke of acceptance and relief, a stark contrast to the fierce roars it had unleashed moments before. The crowd watched in silence, captivated by this extraordinary moment that transcended language and species. "Papa," Tessa said suddenly, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I think he wants to be our friend." Leo knelt beside his daughter, his heart swelling with pride. "You might be right, Alara," he replied softly. "But we need to be careful. He's still a powerful creature." Just then, the auctioneer stepped forward again, his voice trembling with disbelief yet filled with newfound respect. "This is unprecedented. The great Drakther has chosen this girl." His words hung in the air like a spell, weaving together the threads of hope and possibility. The threat looms. However, outside the dome, danger loomed. Varek and his syndicate were watching closely, their interest piqued by the unexpected bond between Tessa and Drakther. They had long sought after Drakther for their own nefarious purposes, plans that involved using the warhorse for destruction rather than understanding. "Let them think they have tamed it," Varek sneered to his followers as they gathered around a holographic display showing the scene inside the dome. "We will strike when they least expect it." Back inside the dome, Leo felt an unsettling chill run down his spine as he sensed something was off. The atmosphere had shifted. While everyone was captivated by Tessa's connection with Drakther, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were not out of danger yet. A call to action. "Everyone!" Leo shouted suddenly, drawing attention away from Tessa and Drakther momentarily. "We need to secure this area. There may be others who want to take advantage of this situation." The crowd stirred uneasily as people began to realize that their safety could still be compromised. Merchants who had once been eager bidders now looked around nervously, unsure of what might happen next. Tessa glanced up at her father with concern in her eyes. "What do we do now?" she asked. "We protect Drakther," Leo replied firmly. "And we make sure no one gets hurt." With renewed determination, Leo rallied those who had stepped forward earlier, those who had witnessed Tessa's bravery and felt compelled to act against injustice rather than profit from it. Together, they formed a circle around Tessa and Drakther, ready to defend against any threat that might arise. A plan takes shape. As they prepared themselves for whatever challenges lay ahead, Leo quickly devised a plan with his newfound allies. They needed to create a safe space for Tessa and Drakther while also keeping an eye out for any potential threats from outside. "Listen up." Leo addressed the group decisively. "We'll need some volunteers to guard the exits while others help keep an eye on Drakther." Several brave souls stepped forward without hesitation, merchants who had seen enough bloodshed in their lives and wanted to stand up for something greater than themselves. "I'll guard this exit," one burly trader declared confidently. "And I'll keep watch over there," another chimed in. With their plan taking shape, Leo felt a sense of camaraderie building among them, a shared purpose that transcended their individual fears and motivations. A moment of reflection. As they settled into their roles, Leo took a moment to reflect on how far they had come since entering the auction that day. What had started as an ordinary outing had turned into something extraordinary, a testament to human resilience and compassion in the face of adversity. Tessa continued talking softly to Drakther as if reassuring him that he was safe now, that he would not be treated as just another weapon but rather as a friend who deserved love and understanding. In that moment, Leo realized that this bond between his daughter and Drakther could become something transformative, not just for them but for countless others across galaxies who had been misunderstood or mistreated simply because they were different. The calm before the storm. As time passed within the dome, tension hung thick in the air like an impending storm. The crowd remained vigilant, whispers spread about potential threats lurking outside while Tessa continued her gentle interaction with Drakther. Then suddenly, a loud crash echoed from one of the exits. The ground shook beneath them as chaos erupted once more. Guards rushed toward the sound while civilians gasped in horror at what was happening outside. "Stay close," Leo shouted urgently as he moved protectively toward Tessa and Drakther. In that instant, everything changed again, their peaceful moment shattered by uncertainty, yet amidst it all stood one unwavering truth: together they would face whatever came next, united by courage forged through compassion, and perhaps even discover what it truly meant to be friends across worlds filled with both wonder and peril alike. The aftermath of chaos. As the echoes of the alarm faded, the atmosphere inside the Xyloth dome shifted once again. The crowd, still reeling from Tessa's extraordinary connection with Drakther, now faced a new wave of uncertainty. The guards, who had initially raised their weapons in fear, now stood bewildered, unsure of how to proceed. Captain Leo felt the tension in the air as he held his daughter close, ready to protect her at all costs. A moment of reflection. Tessa continued to stroke Drakther's snout, her small fingers gently tracing the metallic surface. The warhorse had calmed significantly since its initial outburst, but Leo knew that danger still lurked outside. He glanced around at the crowd, many of whom were still frozen in disbelief at what they had just witnessed. The auctioneer, regaining some composure, stepped forward cautiously. "This is unprecedented," he announced, his voice shaky yet filled with awe. "The great Drakther has chosen this girl." His words hung in the air like a spell, captivating everyone present. Leo felt a surge of pride for Tessa. She had done something remarkable, something that no one else had managed to achieve. But even as he admired her bravery, a sense of urgency crept into his thoughts. They needed to act quickly to ensure their safety and that of Drakther. The crowd's reaction. The crowd began to murmur amongst themselves, their voices a mix of admiration and confusion. "How did she do that?" one merchant whispered incredulously. "It's impossible," another replied, shaking his head in disbelief. Even as they spoke, Leo could see a shift in their perception of Drakther. No longer was he just a fearsome beast, he was now a creature capable of connection and understanding. Tessa had shown them that even the most dangerous beings could be reached through compassion. "Papa," Tessa said softly, breaking Leo's thoughts. "Can we take him home? He needs us." Leo knelt beside her, his heart heavy with the weight of her request. "I wish we could, Alara," he replied gently. "But we don't own him. He belongs to whoever wins him at this auction." Tessa frowned slightly but then looked up at Drakther with determination in her eyes. "But he doesn't want to hurt anyone. He just needs a friend." The decision. In that moment, Leo realized that Tessa was right. They couldn't just abandon Drakther to whoever might bid on him next, especially not if those bidders were interested in using him for destruction rather than companionship. "Listen up," Leo called out to the crowd once more, his voice firm and commanding. "We need to protect Drakther. We can't let anyone take him away from here without knowing what kind of life he'll have." Several people nodded in agreement, inspired by Tessa's bravery and Leo's resolve. They had witnessed something extraordinary, a bond that transcended fear, and they were not willing to let it go unprotected. "I'll help," shouted one merchant named Yarek, stepping forward with determination in his eyes. "I've seen enough suffering in this galaxy, we can't let this happen again." Others joined him, merchants who had come seeking profit but now found themselves united by a common cause, protecting Drakther and ensuring that Tessa's bond with the warhorse was honored. Preparing for battle. As they gathered together, Leo felt a sense of camaraderie building among them, a shared purpose that transcended their individual fears and motivations. They quickly devised a plan to protect Drakther from any potential threats while also ensuring Tessa remained safe. Yarrick, Leo said decisively, you and your team will guard the exits. Make sure no one gets through without our permission. Understood, Yarrick replied with a nod. Everyone else, Leo continued, stay close to Tessa and Drakther. If anyone tries to take him away or harm us, we stand together. With their roles assigned and spirits lifted by their newfound unity, they prepared themselves for whatever challenges lay ahead. A new threat emerges. Just as they settled into their positions, the loud crash from outside echoed once more, a reminder that danger was still lurking beyond the dome's walls. Leo felt his heart race as he turned toward the sound. It was clear that Varek and his syndicate were not going to give up easily. We need to be ready. Leo shouted urgently as adrenaline coursed through him. The guards stationed at the exits exchanged worried glances as they braced themselves for what might come next. They had seen many battles in their time but never anything quite like this, never an innocent girl standing beside a creature once thought untamable. The moment of truth. As tension mounted within the dome, Leo took a deep breath and looked down at Tessa. She stood resolutely beside Drakther, her small hand resting on its snout as if reassuring both herself and the warhorse. Remember what you did before, he said softly to her. You showed him kindness when everyone else was afraid. Tessa nodded firmly, her eyes shining with determination. I won't let them hurt him, she promised. With those words echoing in his mind, Leo turned back toward the entrance just as it burst open with a deafening crash. A group of syndicate members stormed into the dome, armed and ready for confrontation. Step aside. Varek shouted menacingly as he entered, flanked by several henchmen wielding weapons designed for intimidation rather than negotiation. Leo felt a surge of anger rise within him. He would not allow these mercenaries to take away what had become so precious, not just to Tessa but to everyone who believed in compassion over cruelty. Facing adversity together. Stand your ground. Leo commanded his allies as they formed a protective barrier around Tessa and Drakther. Varek sneered at them from across the room. You think you can protect that beast? It belongs to us now. No. Tessa shouted defiantly from behind Leo's protective stance. He's my friend. The syndicate members hesitated for just a moment, caught off guard by the little girl's bravery, but Varek quickly regained control over his crew. Take them out, he ordered with venomous authority. As chaos erupted once more within the dome, energy blasts flying through the air and screams filling their ears, Leo knew they were facing an uphill battle against those who sought only power rather than understanding. But amidst all this turmoil stood one unwavering truth: together they would face whatever came next, united by courage forged through compassion, and perhaps even discover what it truly meant to be friends across worlds filled with both wonder and peril alike. With determination burning brightly within them all, their hearts united against adversity, they prepared themselves for an epic confrontation that would test not only their strength but also their belief in each other as allies fighting for something greater than themselves, hope itself. A journey of understanding. As the dust settled from the chaotic confrontation, the tension in the Xyloth dome transformed into a palpable sense of urgency. Captain Leo stood resolutely beside Tessa and Drakther, ready to defend against any threats that loomed on the horizon. The syndicate members had stormed in, weapons drawn, but now they hesitated, caught off guard by the unexpected bond between a little girl and a legendary warhorse. The calm after the storm. With Varek's men surrounding them, Leo felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He glanced at Tessa, who remained steadfast beside Drakther, her small hand resting gently on its metallic snout. The warhorse, once a symbol of destruction, now exuded an air of calm, its glowing red eyes softening as they met Tessa's gaze. Stay close to me, Leo instructed his daughter, his voice firm yet reassuring. Tessa nodded but did not move away from Drakther. Instead, she leaned in closer, whispering comforting words to the creature as if trying to soothe its spirit. The crowd that had gathered in the dome watched with bated breath, unsure of what would happen next. Would Varek and his syndicate attack? Or would they recognize the power of compassion that had blossomed in this moment? A new alliance. Varek stepped forward, his expression a mix of anger and disbelief. "You think you can protect that beast?" he sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. "It belongs to us now." "No!" Tessa shouted defiantly from behind Leo. "He's my friend." The syndicate members exchanged glances, their confidence wavering as they witnessed this fearless little girl standing up against them. Leo felt a surge of hope, perhaps there was still a chance to turn this situation around. "Listen," Leo said, raising his voice to address both Varek and his men. "Drakther is not just a weapon or a trophy. He has feelings, he deserves respect and understanding." Varek scoffed at Leo's words. "Feelings? This is a warhorse. It exists to serve us." But before he could finish his sentence, Drakther let out a low rumble, a sound that resonated through the dome like distant thunder. The warhorse nudged Tessa gently with its snout, seeking comfort from the little girl who had dared to approach it with kindness. A moment of truth. The crowd gasped collectively as they witnessed this extraordinary display of connection between Tessa and Drakther. It was as if time stood still, everyone present felt the shift in energy, the realization that perhaps they had all been wrong about creatures like Drakther. "See?" Tessa said boldly, her voice unwavering. "He doesn't want to hurt anyone. He just wants to be understood." Leo could see doubt creeping into Varek's eyes as he surveyed the scene before him. The syndicate leader was not accustomed to being challenged, especially not by a child who had managed to tame one of the fiercest creatures in existence. "Enough!" Varek barked, trying to regain control over his men. "We will take Drakther by force if necessary." But just then, Yarek, the merchant who had stepped forward earlier, spoke up from behind Leo. "You'll have to go through all of us first," he declared fiercely. Others joined him, creating a united front against Varek and his syndicate members. The atmosphere crackled with tension as both sides prepared for an inevitable confrontation. A stand for compassion. Leo felt a swell of pride for those standing beside him, merchants who had once come seeking profit but were now willing to fight for something greater, compassion and understanding. "Together!" Leo shouted, rallying everyone around him. "We stand together for what is right. We will not allow fear or greed to dictate our actions." The crowd erupted into cheers, their voices rising in unison as they rallied behind Leo's words. They were no longer mere spectators, they were participants in something profound, a movement toward understanding rather than destruction. Varek's expression darkened as he realized he was losing control over the situation. He glanced back at his henchmen, who seemed hesitant to engage in battle against such overwhelming odds. "Retreat!" Varek ordered suddenly, frustration evident in his tone. "We'll regroup and come back for that beast." As Varek and his men turned to leave, tension hung thick in the air like an impending storm cloud. But instead of fear or despair, there was hope, a glimmering light that shone brightly amidst uncertainty. The aftermath. Once the syndicate members had retreated into the shadows beyond the dome's walls, a collective sigh of relief washed over those remaining inside. Captain Leo knelt beside Tessa and Drakther once more, feeling grateful that they had emerged from this confrontation unscathed. "You did it," he said softly to Tessa, pride swelling within him. "You stood up for what you believed in." Tessa beamed up at her father with sparkling eyes filled with innocence and determination. "I just wanted him to know he wasn't alone," she replied simply. Drakther let out another low hum, a sound that echoed through the dome like a gentle promise, and lowered its massive head closer to Tessa once more. In that moment, it became clear that their bond was not merely an anomaly, it was something profound that would resonate across galaxies. A new beginning. As they gathered together, merchants and allies united by compassion, Leo felt an overwhelming sense of purpose wash over him. They had faced adversity and emerged victorious not through violence but through understanding. "Let's make sure Drakther is safe," Yarrick suggested as he stepped forward alongside others who had rallied behind them. Yes, Leo agreed firmly. We need to find a way to protect him, not just from those who seek to exploit him but also from those who might misunderstand him. Tessa nodded enthusiastically. Can we take him home? I want everyone to see how amazing he is. Leo smiled at her enthusiasm but knew there were challenges ahead. They would need to navigate bureaucracy and convince others that Drakther deserved a chance at life beyond being a mere weapon or trophy. As they began discussing plans for Drakther's future, a future filled with hope rather than fear, Leo realized that this was only the beginning of their journey together. In this moment of unity forged through compassion and understanding, they would embark on an adventure unlike any other, a journey toward revealing what it truly meant to connect across worlds filled with both wonder and peril alike. And so began their quest, not just for Drakther's freedom but for a deeper understanding of themselves and each other, a journey where humanity would shine brightly amidst darkness while forging bonds that transcended boundaries across galaxies far apart yet forever intertwined by shared experiences of love and resilience in face adversity ahead.